coming up on Nittany Game Week.
I truly believe that we can beat anyone if we're on our game, and we proved that against some of the top teams against Minnesota. So, I mean, the expectations are endless, basically, for our team this year.
The women's hockey team wraps up another league crown, the way they're using some downtime to get ready for a memorable postseason run.
I thought from an execution standpoint across the board, we were good, not great. And those things that we can improve is kind of where our focus is going.
Baseball takes 2 of 3 to open up their campaign in Puerto Rico, what they're doing to get ready for the schedule closer to home. And the national champs lock up their inspirational leader, how long Coach Schumacher-Cawley signs up to be the head coach in Happy Valley. It's time for Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski alongside Ryan Yee. For this week's show, we celebrate and recognize some regular season excellence, understanding there are great expectations to come for women's hockey and wrestling as they prepare for the postseason.
Yeah, as they pursue more titles, the women's volleyball team retains their championship coach, and baseball begins with a warm weather destination. We'll talk about their plans for competition closer to home in a few minutes, but we begin our opening drive with a welcome performance from the Nittany Lions on the hardwood.
First win in February for the men as they take out their frustrations on Nebraska and hammer the Cornhuskers at the Bryce Jordan Center on Wednesday night. Penn State is 11-3 in the BJC and lit up the scoreboard with deadly accuracy. The Nittany Lions shoot over 60% from the field, jump out to a double-digit lead early on and keep up the pace in the second half. They get a chance to turn a rebound into a quick bucket for Ace Baldwin Jr. at the other end of the floor. Some positive signs for the team with the final stretch in front of them. Coach Rhodes' guys improved to 14-13 on the year, 4-12 in the Big Ten Conference, heading into their final 4 regular season games. Only one more home game left on the schedule, and that's with Maryland on Saturday, March 1st. It is a noon tip-off. As for baseball, well, they head for warmer weather to start off their season in mid-February. Puerto Rico will do nicely, thank you, to stretch out the arms and heat up the bats. The team coming off a solid 2024 season, finishing 29-24 overall, 12-12 in conference play under first-year head coach Mike Gambino. It's the most ever wins for PSU under a first-year skipper. They quickly pick up 2 more to start the year with victories over SEC opponent Missouri and then Connecticut. A loss to Stetson in between gives PSU a solid 2 out of 3 to begin the year. One of the new additions on the squad, graduate student Cole Wagner, a Pennsylvania standout that played at the University of Georgia to start off his college career. Not easy to come out of the gates red hot, especially for a cold weather school. The Nittany Lions blank Mizzou 10-zip, lost 8-4 before edging the Huskies 7-6. Plenty of room for improvement, of course, but the guys wrapped up by locking it down late for a winning trip.
You have an SEC ball club, really, really talented SEC ball club in Missouri. Stetson won their conference last year, was a regional team. UConn won their conference, was a super regional team. So it had a feel with the group that we had, that we played, of like a regional atmosphere. And then you're down there with other quality teams, Virginia and Michigan and Rice and Villanova. And, you know, those are not teams we matched up with. But I thought it was a really good starting point. I thought from an execution standpoint across the board, we were good, not great. And those things that we can improve is kind of where our focus is going.
And we caught up to the team as they get in their work indoors at Holuba Hall. Snow and ice still covering the diamond on campus. Coach Gambino is used to prepping cold weather programs for the late winter and spring schedule. He says no excuses. They have everything they need to prepare for the competition in non-conference and Big Ten action.
Space is big enough that we can have a scrimmage going on with just an infield and then a whole nother practice essentially going on. We almost get 2 for 1 in our practice time. So our expectations is to be ready to go game 1, whether we play a team that's been inside or a team that hasn't been on a field or has been on a field. Like, none of that matters to us. And our expectations is to play really good, clean baseball.
Well, the Nittany Lions posted their first winning record in the regular season since 2016. They reached the Big Ten tournament championship game for the first time since 2000. Their Big Ten opener is at home on Friday, March 7th against Indiana.
And here's perhaps the least surprising news of the week. Penn State's wrestling team secures another Big Ten regular season dual title. It's their 5th straight and 11th under head coach Cale Sanderson. They officially get the job done when they dominate Illinois on the road 29-9. It's been a foregone conclusion ever since undefeated and #1 ranked Penn State destroyed #2 Iowa in the Bryce Jordan Center. This is not a program measured in Big Ten titles. The national championship, as always, remains the goal. They are 14-0 overall, 8-0 in the conference. The Big Ten championships are just ahead in Evanston, Illinois, the weekend of March 8th and 9th. The NCAA championships are later in the month in Philadelphia, starting on Thursday, March 20th. And speaking of regular season repeat champs, the women's hockey team once again runs through the league competition to capture the AHA regular season crown. PSU finishes with a sparkling 19-1 record in conference play and now sits at 28-5-1 overall. This is the 3rd straight Atlantic Hockey America title. They have the top seed and will be at home for the upcoming best-of-3 league semifinals on February 28th. Until then, some rest and recovery after a long grind to get to this point of the season.
This break is awesome, and it's also well-deserved. Like, our girls have put in so much work and so much time invested through the course of the season, so for them to be able to take a little break going into playoffs is huge. Obviously, schoolwork, Penn State's a great academic school, so I think for us, take a little step back from hockey, focus on academics, focus on your social life a little bit, get some sleep. But at the end of the day, like, we expect a lot from them when they're at the rink, so they do a great job. They bring it every single day. And then going into postseason, it's take it day by day and have some fun.
And their final regular season game was on February 15th, so they will have almost a 2-week break before the playoffs begin. Time for us to take a quick break. When we come back, more from the women's hockey program. Our roadmap to victory shows how the team has been racking up W's this season and the growth of the program long term. More Nittany Game Week after this.
Roadmap to Victory is sponsored by the R&R family of companies.
Well, welcome back to Nittany Game Week. As we go back to women's hockey, now in its 13th year, the program is on a roll with 3 consecutive league regular season titles and a record 28 wins for the season.
Now, hopefully, with more to come. Coach Jeff Campersall and his staff continue to elevate the results, and with it, the expectations. Another championship regular season is behind them, with their sights now set on a long and unprecedented postseason run.
I think we rely a lot on our leadership. It's one of those things that, Jeff always preaches. It's a leader-led team and a player-led team, and so I think a lot depends on them. It relies a lot on our upperclassmen, too, and they've been awesome. It's obviously a long season. I think of all collegiate sports, hockey is probably one of the longest, so a lot can happen during the course of a year, and so at the end of the day, as long as our leaders are doing the right thing away from the rink, at the rink, typically we're in a really good shape.
How does that manifest itself in results? Because it is the small details. It's the time between games that really shows up when you get into a crunch moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think you rely a lot on your habits, your details, the work that you put in over the course of the season. Again, a lot of these kids were here during the summer, so they were working out together, training, and just building that culture. And then at the end of the day, once we get the whole team on campus, it's start to finish, top to bottom. It's a collective group. We have a small roster, and so everyone's kind of counted on in big moments and little moments over the course of the year.
The Nittany Lions are on a steady incline. Only 28 victories in their first 3 years of existence, the same total they have this season before the puck even drops on the playoffs. The players and coaches can feel the momentum and the energy surrounding the program and this team.
Now that we're getting into the postseason, that's when it gets to be even more energy. And so I think there is like that time every time you step on the ice, you're like, we're playing for something really big this year, and we have the talent to do it. So I think there's that even more drive in the past few years to get to where we want to go.
Even within like the last 5 or 6 years, I think this program has been built on some of the seniors who've graduated. I think every year they've gotten better, and they've set the expectation of it's not just luck, but it's going to be a tradition now of us owning our league and coming out on top of that and just getting better and hopefully make the NCAA tournament and make a statement there this year.
The NCAAs, it's the next step in the elevation. A 6-2 victory over then number 3 Minnesota in early January opened everyone's eyes to the possibilities. No matter the postseason results, wearing the sweater and growing the game is something these ladies take pride in as they represent the blue and white.
It's honestly an honor, and Penn State has done a great job of really supporting our women's hockey program. I think something that I'm always so appreciative is, again, like how Penn State has really pushed our program. And again, when I was a kid, I used to be a big UND fan. The North Dakota team, their team got taken away, and so I think that was kind of a step back for women's hockey, and now we're starting to see growth again in the game. The Bean Pot was a huge tournament that got a lot of fans, so the coverage is there here in college hockey and now in the P-Dub, which is huge. So again, super grateful, and it makes me really hopeful for like the younger girls that are coming up to have a great experience in hockey.
Well, the college hockey season is a grind. It's going to be fun to see how far the Nittany Lions can go as they prepare to host the league semifinals next weekend.
Yeah, that's right. It's a best of 2 of 3. If they're able to advance the championship round, they'll once again host the series in Hockey Valley. And here's a program that once again elevates the top of the college sports world. The women's volleyball team are now the defending national champions, and they take a big step towards a repeat performance by signing their head coach, Katie Schumacher-Cawley, to a contract extension through the 2030 season. She led the Nittany Lions to the 8th national title in program history in only her 3rd year as the head coach. Schumacher-Cawley is the first woman to lead a team to the Division I Women's Volleyball Championship. All right, up next, our Impact interview on a topic that affects all student athletes, mental health. We discuss the initiative put in place to help the Nittany Lions athletes on and off the field. Nittany Game Week. We'll be right back.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
We're back on Nittany Game Week. Our Impact interview guest is a very important part of the student-athlete support system at Penn State. Katie Poland is the Director of Athletic Clinical Psychology. She's been with the Clinical Psychology Department in Athletics since its inception in 2022. Now, it's part of a new initiative started by the VP of Intercollegiate Athletics, Dr. Pat Kraft, as the staff recognize the challenges the student-athletes face in academics, athletics, and in life. Now, we touch on a variety of subjects, but start with the importance of offering a place to go to talk to people who aren't coaches or teammates about issues they are dealing with as a Division I athlete.
And I think it's critically important. So if you're having it at the professional level, it just shows the need for the levels below. And this has been Pat's initiative from day one, that he wanted a mental health department for the student athletes only. And this is happening across the Big Ten. Where the athletic departments have their own mental health. And I think it's really important for the athletes to have a space where they feel safe and it's confidential and they can talk about anything. Our number one goal is we want them all to be successful, and we tell the coaches that too. Our goal is for them to be successful and your teams to be successful, and then hopefully that translates on the field or on the court. There's definitely an increased need for it, so they don't have to think about practice or coaches or school or any of that. They can just be in here. They don't get that a lot. Their schedules are crazy. I didn't realize how they are booked from 6 in the morning until 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So to have an hour a week to come in and talk is fantastic.
There's reluctance with people that are used to driving themselves to win, especially at that age level. What's the unique kind of feedback and responses that you get? I assume they appreciate it, obviously, but sometimes there might be reluctance to ask for help.
I think there still is reluctance because the stigma of mental health is still there. So we always explain or talk to them about, you go when you're injured and you get rehab and you follow everything that the surgeon or the doctor or the trainer tells you to do. This is no different. So you could be the, best conditioned athlete, like peak strength and conditioning, your peak nutrition level, like everything is functioning on 4 cylinders. But if you're struggling with something, none of that matters. You're not going to do well. So, a lot of times I also talk about the anxiety that they experienced through their sports career got them to this point. They did really well with that. But now it's a whole different ballgame. They are in front of massive crowds. They're on TV. they have the stress of school and everything else, and they wanted to please their coaches growing up and their parents, and now they're here and the stress is overwhelming. So it's changing how they think about the pleasing aspect and how they manage that anxiety and that stress.
Where they want to be physically healthy, but you also want to be mentally healthy to be able to perform. Do they start to see that and realize that pretty quickly once they start to get into this, get into the sessions?
Yes, once they come in. Yeah. Once we get them in the door, they realize okay, this is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And they start to see the results. So if they can work through some of the things that are on their mind, then they can see those results on the practice field or court or game time. So it's explaining and educating on, you didn't get really good at your sport after a week of practice, and you're not going to get really good at using some of these skills that we teach in therapy 1 or 2 sessions. It takes time to develop, but if you can do it during the week, during everyday situations, then you absolutely can do it come game time. It just takes practice. But once they get in, they stay.
In 2025, student athletes are dealing with pressures from NIL, from school, from competing, now revenue sharing. How much harder has it become for student athletes to balance not only their own expectations, but those of their family and teammates, friends, and fans? There's a lot of external pressures on these athletes.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we worry about. And even in the Big Ten Mental Health Advisory Board, we talk about this a lot, of the potential impact on student athletes. So they're already at higher risk to develop anxiety, depression, substance use, eating disorders. So I think this is going to increase some of those at-risk diagnoses. There is going to be an impact on expectations. They're going to want to make money and to support family or compete against a player on the same team. So yeah, I do see this affecting anxiety. The good thing though, and on the flip side, it's not all bad, it's also going to give them that financial independence, that they don't have to wait until money comes through, that they can be in charge of that. There's some empowerment with making your own money at that age.
So with the many college athletes, athletics now being seen as professionalized because of the promotional and social media and the NIL money they're making, fans seem to be treating them more aggressively when they fall short of expectations. How much have you seen that change just in the last 2.5 years? And we talked about friends and family and those close to them. Strangers aren't treating them the same either.
Not at all. I knew when I came here that there was some fan displeasure and that would be expressed. I did not realize the extent of what people are saying to 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. Death threats and everything in between. So what I try to work with is don't pay attention to any of it, the bad and the good. That they have to focus on themselves and look for that inner, what makes me a good athlete, what makes me a good person, not what everyone else says.
Important initiative and valuable service offered to the athletes. Appreciate Katie taking the time to have a conversation with us. We need to step aside from the TV show for a quick break. Make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for all of our Impact interviews, along with other web-exclusive content like our depth chart. And when we return, there's always a handful of PSU players receiving invites to the NFL Combine. We'll tell you which guys are going to show off their strength, speed, and agility in front of the pro scouts. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
Nittany Game Week Depth Chart is brought to you by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Penn State is going to be well represented at this year's NFL Combine. 5 players got the invite to head to Indianapolis to show off their athletic skills and, of course, meet with NFL teams. Defensive end Abdul Carter will be there, along with tight end Tyler Warren, Kobe King, Jalen Reed, and Kevin Winston Jr. Carter and Warren are projected first-round picks. King, Reed, and Winston on day 2, but all of whom will use the big day in hopes of improving their draft stock. And on to some other Penn State athletics we got a highlight in this week's Nittany Game Week Dean's List. We start with a pair of men's fencers who showed up on the international stage. Penn State Sabre Squad members Kamar Skeet finished 5th and Neil Lelov 8th in the Junior Olympics that were held in Chapel Hill, North Carolina last week. On the track, we have ourselves a new women's 5K school record after Florence Caron dropped at 15:25.83 in Boston, beating the record that was set by Tessa Barrett in 2017. Over to lacrosse. Midfielder Hunter Aquino was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week for his first weekly award of his career after tallying a hat trick against Princeton last week. And in the world of hockey, senior captain Simon Mack was named the Big Ten Second Star of the Week. He had 3 assists in the matchup against Notre Dame and now has the 5th most points by defenseman in program history. A big week for Penn State athletes. Congratulations to Skeet, Lelov, Caron, Aquino, and Mack here on this week's Dean's List.
And in addition to a television show, we're bringing Nittany Lions together with our depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com. Make sure to visit or check out the businesses that support the show and reach out for more information on their professional services. Our goal is to build a team that keeps our hometowns strong. Of course, the depth chart just part of the web content waiting for you at NittanyGameWeek.com. We have past episodes, all of our Impact interviews, and we're starting to populate the site now with our winter and spring sports. Really enjoying a look at the teams and programs that are competing, with many in contention for league championships and beyond. And we always finish with some pride picks. No matter the sport you're watching, snap off a couple of pride picks and submit them on our website. We'd love to feature them at the end of the show. For Ryan, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.